Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the subject of breadcrumbing that is happening a lot in the dating scene and in long term committed relationships. Believe it or not, it is more common than you think, especially with respect to women being the victims. Women are naturally wired for relationships and desire to love others. However, sometimes that need for companionship may override their better judgment when confronted with partners who are toxic, abusive, and manipulative. And thus, some find themselves in unhealthy relationships where they are being breadcrumbed. With that said, breadcrumbing can work both ways, so men may also find themselves being breadcrumbed by women. And I just want to take a few moments just to say that I personally have friends that are being breadcrumbed. Um, and and what's surprising is that most people that are breadcrumbed, they don't even realize they're being breadcrumbed. And some that are being breadcrumbed um, feel like they're stuck, that they feel they're in this trap and they can't get out of it. So, this is a subject that is very close to my heart, and it breaks my heart to see my friends, some of my friends that are being breadcrumbed. Um, and as we all know, we all deserve to be treated with love and respect, right? So, um, today's topic, which talks about the signs of breadcrumbing and what to do, I think will be very helpful to those of you who are in the dating scene, or if you're currently in a relationship where you are being breadcrumbed. So before we begin, let's first define what breadcrumbing is. According to an online article called What is Breadcrumbing, found on simplepsychology.org, quote unquote, breadcrumbing is a term commonly used in the context of modern dating and relationships. It refers to a behavior in which one person sends intermittent and often vague messages to keep another person interested or engaged without any intention of fully committing or entering into a relationship. So let me say this again. Breadcrumbing is a term commonly used in the context of modern dating and relationships. It refers to a behavior in which one person sends intermittent and often vague messages to keep another person interested or engaged without any intention of fully committing or entering into a relationship. Unquote. For those of you who are in a relationship and sense something feels off with your partner and you're often being neglected and mistreated by your partner, there's a good chance that you are being breadcrumbed. It's important to know the signs of breadcrumbing. While there are many signs of breadcrumbing, there are 5 common signs worth mentioning. The 5 signs will be represented by the spelling of the word flirt. F for fear of commitment. Your partner, the breadcrumber, has a fear of commitment and feels uncomfortable talking about a commitment. They have high anxiety when commitment is discussed and will do everything to avoid the conversation. When approaching a question about commitment, they will tend to respond with vague answers, change the topic of conversation entirely, or become quiet and shut down. And if pushed to provide a response, they may become defensive and react with anger and blame. L for love bombing. Breadcrumbers lure their victims in by love bombing. Love bombing is a common manipulation tactic used by narcissists and scammers to gain control of their victims. Love bombing involves intentional flirting, flattery, gifts, excessive attention, affection, compliments, and even inappropriate premature declarations of love. This type of deceptive behavior usually reveals itself when they profess to love you within the first hour or few days of meeting you. The goal of love bombing is to overwhelm their victims and make them fall in love quickly so they can be blinded in love and become an easy target for control and manipulation. Okay, so let me just say that again, this is, for those of you who know of people or you yourselves have experienced this, these kind of people will rush into a relationship really fast. Okay, and they'll tell you anything to make you fall in love with them, even if that means they'll tell you they love you within an hour of meeting you, or even a few days, few dates. They're already saying they love you, and let's be real, folks. You guys don't even know each other that well, right? You just met each other an hour ago or a few days ago, and they're already telling you they love you. So that's a red flag, and it's a sign that you need to pay close attention to. And then I for inconsistent behaviors. It's nearly impossible to feel emotionally safe in a relationship where your partner is showing inconsistent behaviors. Inconsistent behaviors from poor communication, unreliability, lying, victimhood, sob stories, and intermittent to lack of effort to build emotional safety needed in a healthy relationship. Okay, so again, the inconsistent behaviors are from poor communication, unreliability, lying, victimhood, sob stories, and intermittent to lack of effort to build emotional safety when needed in a healthy relationship. Okay, and by victimhood sob stories, we all know what that means, right? Victimhood is when they tell you that everyone they meet are crazy, nobody loves them, everyone treats them wrong, and so they play a victim. Okay, and that is to elicit sympathy from you. They're hoping that you're going to feel sorry for them. Basically, take the bait, right? As they say in fishing, right? That they're hoping that you would take that bait. More often than not, these behaviors are often observed in people who are the players in the dating scene. They may be secretly married or intimately involved with multiple partners and having multiple affairs. Being in a relationship with a breadcrumber who is promiscuous could potentially result in serious physical health consequences, such as contracting sexually transmitted diseases, as well as suffering emotional and mental health consequences. And this is something that I don't think some of the people that are being breadcrumb don't realize these other consequences. Okay, um, being left with a broken heart later is definitely awful. But also, as I just said, if these people, chances are they are in multiple relationships. If they would flirt with you and love bomb you, who's to say they're not doing that to the next lady or man? If it's a woman that's doing the love bombing, who's to say who else are they love bombing, right? And so they cannot be trusted, folks. And when you get involved or sexually involved with people like this, you run the risk of having major health issues later down the road. Okay, these people are not gonna. These people who are promiscuous, they're not going to be. Um, what's the word? They're not going to pick and choose and be selective. That's the word of who they're going to go to sleep with, right? They just want to get anyone's attention. So it's just something to keep in mind. Furthermore, these inconsistent behaviors all serve to undermine the foundation of trust and friendship in a healthy relationship. This is to keep the victim in a constant state of confusion and a wishful hoping that things will improve someday. However, after a million apologies, creative excuses, and misunderstandings, the victim will gradually experience a spiral digression of low self-esteem, despair, and depression. R for rushing into physical intimacy and sex. Another telltale sign of breadcrumbers is their impatient need to rush into physical intimacy and sex, which I just mentioned earlier. They will start off with the love bombing that leads to excessive affection and having sex. This is where the most damage is done by the abuser to the victim. From the breadcrumber's perspective, they view sex as a form of control and pure entertainment. On the contrary, the victims view the sexual act as a display of love and affection. This dichotomy of perspectives is what leads to the age-old phrase of men give love to get sex, while women give sex to get love. Let me say that again. This dichotomy of perspectives is what leads to the age-old phrase of men give love to get sex, while women give sex to get love. And keep in mind, folks, this is just a generalization, okay? Obviously, not all women and men are manipulative. Not all men and women have a motive, have an ulterior motive that's bad, right? This is just in general of people that are breadcrumbers, people that are love bombers, people that are narcissists, okay? People that don't have your best interest in mind, okay? They're in it for the game. They're in it for the pure entertainment, okay? So Um, while this is mainly true in relationships where both parties are using each other, it's also unfortunately true in relationships with breadcrumbers. Okay. Now, clearly, there could be situations where the breadcrumber and the victim both are in consent of that kind of dynamic in their relationship. Okay, I have heard of stories where they both are fully aware that the relationship's not going to go anywhere. Okay, there's no future in it. However, for the time being, both parties are willing to just enjoy the relationship as a form of entertainment to pass time, um, and that's all it is. Okay, and there, I don't know, I don't know the percentages of how many actually um, agree to that. Okay, but there are some relationships where they both understand and consent to that kind of relationship. Okay, but often than not, there are a lot of relationships, however, where there is not a consent. There's not a disclosure of the game. Okay, and the breadcrumbers know this, and and their victims are unfortunately uh, they bear the brunt of a lot of pain, emotional pain, and trauma from being involved in a relationship with a breadcrumber, because they, from their perspective, they think they're being loved, that they're getting overwhelmed with attention and affection, and they think this is love. And when they engage in physical intimacy with the breadcrumber, they feel it's real love. From the breadcrumber's point of view, it's just fun, and they do it with other people as well. So uh it's just different perspectives that you need to be aware of. And temporary entertainment. Breadcrumbers see their partners as pure temporary entertainment on their terms when it's convenient for them. They tend to avoid talking about their feelings, their relationship, and future. They have a full hidden life outside of your relationship that you're not aware of. In the scheme of things, you are a very small part of their life. So you can think of their heart as a whole bread, and every now and then they'll throw you a crumb or two. In other words, they'll never allow you to have full access to their heart and will give you a temporary access to their physical body for temporary entertainment. Okay, this is probably, something that is also very, very, very important that is seen in a breadcrumber. And that's where we came up with the term breadcrumbing. Okay, it's basically, as I said, you can think of their heart as, you could think of the breadcrumber's heart as the whole bread. Okay, and they're only parsing out crumbs to you and to other people that they may be sexually and emotionally involved with. Okay, so no one's really getting their heart. No one's, that's something they're protecting, they're hiding. Okay, for whatever reasons. Okay, they obviously have some issues that they need to heal from. Okay, but for whatever the reasons are, they are very guarded. They don't trust anyone either from their own trauma. Okay, and so they're only going to give you crumbs, and that's why we call it breadcrumbing. Okay, folks, they're just breadcrumbing you, and they will never allow you. As I said, they'll never allow you to have full access to their heart, and you're only going to get temporary access on their terms when they're available. Okay. And so I mean, I have friends that are being breadcrumbed, and I don't want to mention any names, just to keep them protected, keep their names anonymous. But I know of a situation where the man is not only a preacher, okay, a man who professes to be a man of God, who's doing ministry work. Okay. He's married, and he's having sex with God knows how many women, but with my friend as one of the women. It's just appalling. Okay, the hypocrisy that's in the dating field. Okay, and fortunately it's not, it's, I don't think it's a large percentage of people that are engaged in this behavior. But the ones that are breadcrumbing, the ones that are love bombing, yes, they are not being honest. They lead a double life, a life hidden from everyone. Okay. It's not until my friend found out from a friend of hers that saw him on Facebook with photos of his ministry work and places he's been to outside of the state, uh, that that she was made aware that he had another life going on, and she didn't even know what kind of job he was in. So breadcrumbers will tell you anything. They will lie. They will cheat. They will do anything to secure their entertainment, and that's what breadcrumbers view their victims as just pure temporary entertainment, and that's something that we need to be fully aware of so that we can not allow such a person into our life and for and risk being hurt later down the road. So given all these signs and you realize you're being breadcrumbed, you will need to take some time out and think about if this is the kind of relationship you want to continue to be in. Don't beat yourself up, and instead be thankful you know the truth now instead of finding it out years later. It's never too late to make another decision and start anew again. At this point, you may be wondering, how do I deal with being breadcrumbed? There are 6 ways to deal with being breadcrumbed. They will be represented by the spelling of the word crumbs. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what to do if you realize that you could be that you are being breadcrumbed or could be breadcrumbed. Okay, these with the spelling of the word crumbs, CRUMBS, these are the steps that I would recommend. C for counseling. Seek professional counseling will help you heal. There's a reason why you're attracted to unhealthy, toxic relationships, and a trained counselor will help you unpack your childhood and adulthood traumas that are keeping you stuck. It's never too late to seek help. Life is too short for you to settle for crumbs. You deserve to be happy and fulfilled in a healthy and loving relationship. When you find yourself repeatedly in toxic relationships, counseling will help you get unstuck and heal so you don't keep making the same mistakes in the future. R for run. Run away from your breadcrumber and cut off contact immediately. This means blocking your partner on social media, email, phone, and getting a restraining order if necessary. Now, folks, I want to say this with caution. Usually a restraining order is not necessary unless the person is physically abusive or has the potential to be physically abusive. If you notice that their anger is out of control, that they have temper tantrums, that they destroy property, and they don't have emotional regulation, it's a sign and a red flag that they may have anger issues. Okay, if they have anger issues, I would definitely recommend you get a restraining order. Okay, because you just never know when they're going to snap, and physical abuse is not acceptable. Okay, so you have to be a little wise and savvy on how you approach this step of running away. Okay, definitely let your friends know. Definitely, definitely let the authorities know, the police in your area. If you have someone you can stay with temporarily until the situation is safer, then I would definitely recommend that. But you definitely need to be, definitely have caution when you decide to run away. Okay, you need to understand who you're dealing with. To gain clarity and heal emotionally, you must avoid any contact with your abusive partner. Healing will take time, and there will be a grieving process. Growing pains are painful, and the success of your healing will depend on your commitment to focus on yourself and letting go of those people and things that no longer serve your highest good. U for understanding. Through counseling and emotional healing, you will understand how and why you're attracted to toxic relationships. Learn how to change your mindset and form new positive habits that build healthy relationships. This understanding is crucial to breaking free from the old habits and unhealthy patterns of thinking. Children often grow into adults subconsciously unaware of their familiarity to the dysfunctional upbringing and traumatic events that have shaped their understanding of what a relationship is. With a lack of healthy role models as children, they become adults gravitating to unhealthy relationships that are familiar to them from childhood. So this is key, folks, okay? A lot of the trauma that we don't even realize we experience as kids, we kind of grow up feeling that's our role model, and that's our role model of what we think a relationship is, okay? How else are we going to learn, right? The people that are closest to us, which is primarily our primary caregiver, which is our parents, could be relatives if you grew up with your relatives, but whoever your primary caregivers are, okay, they have the most influence on you as a child. They help you form your values, and like I said, you grow up with an idea from your upbringing on what a relationship is, and it may not be, oftentimes or not, it may not be a healthy uh role model. It may not be, your idea of a relationship as a child. It may not be a healthy one. Okay, so it's having that understanding, and when you go to counseling, all this comes out through counseling. You will learn and understand what's happened. It is often said that knowledge is power, and gaining understanding of who you are and where you come from will help you in the process and progress of becoming who you will be. And hopefully, through understanding, you will become the best version of yourself. M for making amends. Making amends, coming to terms with reality, and making peace with it all is all part of the journey in the human experience. Personal and spiritual growth is not for the faint of hearts. Being human does mean having emotions and feelings, and making amends requires putting those emotions and feelings in the proper perspectives. As you go through the healing and grieving process, feelings of anger may surface towards others and yourself. Anger is a normal part of the healing process, and your counselor will help you embrace and work through those emotions. Hindsight is always 20/20, and sometimes accepting the harsh reality can be very challenging. It would be important to let go of the past by making amends to move forward. Making amends may also include forgiving others, and more importantly, forgiving yourself. B for boundaries. Setting boundaries for yourself is extremely important to protecting your peace and honoring your sovereignty. Through counseling, you will learn to set boundaries with toxic people. Having boundaries will prevent you from letting toxic people have access to your heart. You will develop the wisdom and discernment to say no when needed, and surround yourself with positive, healthy people who will add value to your life. Setting boundaries will help you allow only those people into your life who serve your highest good. S for self-love. The most important part of the healing process is learning self-love. When you learn to honor your sovereignty, you will naturally be attracted to healthy, positive people and relationships. Let me say this again. When you learn to honor your sovereignty, you will naturally be attracted to healthy, positive people and relationships. You will practice daily habits of self-love that foster your happiness. You will love others from a position of strength and practice tough love when needed. You will no longer accept breadcrumbs as you focus on becoming the best version of yourself and choose to journey with others who align with your life's purpose and core values. In summary, being aware of the signs of breadcrumbing and what to do will help you avoid toxic relationships. You deserve to be happy and live a life of love and healthy relationships. Being breadcrumb may have been a chapter of your life, but it doesn't have to be the rest of your story. Your journey has many chapters yet to be filled with life lessons of self-love. Keep living, learning, growing, and loving. May you continue striving to be the best version of yourself that only accepts the whole bread and not breadcrumbs. Okay, folks? So I hope those of you who can relate to this video, I hope you found it very helpful and and encouraging. If you know friends or family members or people that could benefit from this video, please share this video with them. Please click like and click share if you can resonate with this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can be posted on all my updated coming videos. Okay, and I just want to say thanks for your time, thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.